Hello, worldly crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games, and welcome back to Making Games. It's time to work a little bit more on implementing spells in this here wizard game. Last time I created basically a spell object which the player can create when you click the button, and it travels through the air until it hits something. And today I'm going to take that a little farther. I am going to start creating objects which can respond to spells. I don't know if I'll actually be able to get to implementing an actual spell type that actually does a specific thing within this video. That's probably going to be put off to next time. But today I'm going to finish getting the groundwork set up so that we can actually do that starting soon. I also, by the way, fixed the issue that I had with spatial hashes crashing the game under certain circumstances. That boiled down to I'm not exactly sure when I introduced that bug. I think it was during my optimization pass after I finished the YouTube series. But I appear to have made a change, and then I may have accidentally deleted part of a line or closed GameMaker without saving or something. But anyway, when I went back in there to look at it after the last video, it was a pretty simple fix, and it shouldn't happen anymore. So let's see where we are. I have, by the way, replaced the spatial hash as the collision hierarchy for the game. So if I run the game, I can I can walk around and everything, and I can click and create a spell that's going to go and travel off into some distance. It doesn't collide with the floor. I should probably have it do that. The floor isn't a real thing at this point, but that's mostly okay because I think by the time I start creating levels, I'm actually going to have models for the floor, and it won't just be a generic plane like this. Today, I would like to, and I guess I'll break this game out again. I would like to set it so that when you wave your wand at something, you can automatically see that you can cast a spell at something. But if you wave your wand at something that can't respond to a spell, like the ceiling or floor or some, anonymous piece of furniture, then nothing will happen. And I talked a little bit about this last time. I think the common way to do this would be to allow the player to equip spells, in the vein of a Zelda tool, which is a metaphor that I like to use quite a lot, but I find that tedious and frustrating especially if I'm playing a game which is first or third person, and you can freely aim like this, and I would much rather just be able to target an object which can respond to a spell and automatically be able to, do something with it, instead of having to constantly switch between spells. So let's start to do that. I'm going to, for the time being, duplicate my generic 3D object. Let's call it obj 3D. I don't know. Spell block or something like that. And this is going to inherit from 3D object. We don't need any special draw code. That can just be the same. I'm going to, let me think about this. So all of this default 3D object code, that can just be inherited, right? I think I'm going to want every object to be able to respond to one type of spell. Let's call that spell response. And to define a spell response for an object, I can either use the enum that I created last time. What did I call that? E-spell types dot, push or unlock or mind read or whatever. Or, because this is something that will be completely contained within the GameMaker project, and it won't ever have to be saved to a file or anything, I should just be able to get away with saying the spell response type is going to be equal to the object index of the spell. For simplicity purposes, I think that should be okay. And generic 3D objects which cannot respond to a spell can probably have this set to undefined or something. Oh, you know what I can do also is I can make that a variable definition. Can just create a variable definition, set your type to asset, and then you'll be able to select an asset type. if GameMaker... Did GameMaker actually just freeze on me? Alright. I don't know why it's having trouble with this. Like... I like to think GameMaker's pretty good, but IDE stability or IDE responsiveness sometimes just like craps out at the randomest times. Anyway, let me go and really, why is it hitching randomly? Hopefully by the time this video is out, 2023 8 should be released. And there have been a number of IDE related like performance problems that have been addressed, and I hope that all the major ones in 2023 6, which I'm using right now, are addressed. If I go back to the player, when the player clicks the cast button, first I think what I'll do before just automatically creating a spell is do a little raycast. And if the raycast runs into a the IDE itself is like when I click on the asset browser, there's a solid half of a second before the thing I selected gets highlighted. What's going on here? Task manager, a little bit of help. There's no obvious problems. What if I just, hang on. Would it save me a great deal of time, if I just actually use the beta? I feel like it would. So I'm going to do a little raycast, when the player clicks the spell, and probably also when the player, holds down the spell button, so I can say if input check for cast. And if the player is looking at an object that they can cast a spell on, first I'll just print it out in the console to inform you that we have successfully detected something that we can cast at. And then, if that is true, if that all works out, we can cast a spell on it. So I think I'm going to want the direction of motion, like we're calculating to when we actually create the spell. And let's say ray is going to equal a new call ray. The origin can be... I guess I'll borrow this too. I clean this up once it's working. The origin can be a new vector 3 of the camera target, which is basically where like the wand is. The direction can be that motion vector, and if we say if obj game dot collision dot check ray, and the ray can be that, and I think the default mask is fine for now. Let's just show debug message. Oh, I'm gonna want to save the raycast hit information, aren't I? So if you actually hit something first, we can say hit info, like print out the object name of hit info dot dot shape. Ooh, I just realized that this is just a reference to the shape itself and not like the object. And there's no actual way to get that information, is there? That's hard. That feels like one of the oversights I should have dealt with like way long ago. Oh, look at that big chain of dot accessors, dot operators. Okay. This is a hacky way of attaching the object to a collision shape and vice versa. Mutual references. I will hopefully have a somewhat better solution to that in like in an actual update to the collision system. Anyway, so if I wave my wand at a thing in the world, I should be able to, if we actually contact something, I should be able to see the name of the object type which we are waving our wand at, and we're gonna have to build the game, and we are crashing. Spell velocity. Yeah. All right. That is How come spell velocity? I'm used to that just being static variables, just being like initialized before everything else, but I guess not. That doesn't matter in this case, does it? Again, I will clean this up once I see that it's working. All right. Sure, our variables are defined now. I'm not seeing anything appearing in the console. Why is that? Also, Alt F4 no longer works in betas, which is a little annoying. I'm gonna have to oh, screw you. Really? This is a problem. Go away. I thought someone reported that and they fixed it, but apparently not. At least not in the version of the beta that I have right now. Alright.
Hey.
So, yeah, that'll be a little dumb hack until that issue is taken care of. Where were we? If input check cast, we're gonna do a little ray cast. If there is a hit info return from that, then we'll be shouting about it. First, let us make sure that that's actually running. Should be, shouldn't it? Yeah, that's that wand waving code, I guess we can call it. And yeah, it's not returning anything. It totally should be. Is it do I have to actually, like, specify the collision group? Like, the collision mask that we're checking against? Is that something that I want to do? Is one should be the default collision mask. Alright. This is one of those, problems that you would think would be not a problem, would be a solved problem. Spatial hashes broke again, apparently. Alright, that's something that I'll have to, like, deal with. Anyway, switching back to octrees. I really gotta figure out what's going on there. But we can see that the ray is originating at the correct position. That's kind of nice. And after that, we can see that we are casting a thing on 3D objects, which is also nice. That's going to get a little bit fancier. Before we're done, let's see. All these printouts I think I can get rid of. I'm also starting to think that it would be nice to be able to specify a max range inside the raycast function itself, so that you don't have to constantly do things like this to figure out if something is out of range. But that might be an idea for future me. So if the distance is less than or equal to, and we can define like a max spell range to like 2,000 or something like that. That might be a little bit far. How many meters would that be? I think it's like 2 to the 11 or something. So 62 meters. Actually, that's pretty reasonable. So if the distance is less than the max spell range, then we can let's say the object that we're hitting, we can get a reference to the object that we're hitting. So hit info, the shape that it hit, the object that shape represents, and the like the GameMaker object reference in the abstract collision shape. That GameMaker instance should have a variable that's like, what did I call it? Spell response. And for the time being, I can just say if that spell response equals obj spell. When we get around to potentially having different spells in the player's quote-unquote inventory, we can do a little more to figure out like if the player has access to a spell. But for the time being, let me say define a potential spell down here. If the player is waving their wand at something, actually, I'll say potential spell target, and that will instead of just representing the spell that you can cast, that'll also represent the object that you're casting at. The Potter games do something that's do a few tricks that are really easy to not notice unless you're really looking closely at them, and that spells will kind of sort of lock onto their targets to make it a little more convenient if you're like trying to hit a moving target and that kind of thing. Like if the spell happens to hit something mid-flight that it can interact with that isn't its target, it'll still work. I'll try to collect some footage of that as we get farther along in development and home in on really making the game feel good to play. But farther down, we can say if this is not equal to undefined and you hit the cast button and you keyboard check released, I suppose we should say, the cast button. Ooh, does that will check and check released fire on the same frame? I'll find out in a minute. If not, I'll just work around that a little more. Then if you're waving your wand at something that you can actually cast at, then you will actually cast the spell, and the spell that we can cast instead of hard-coding that's OBJ spell. Can be the spell response down there. And what should happen now is that I won't be able to ever cast on just like a generic object, but if I were to instance create one of those, somewhere down here, can I just like create a temporary, and we should be able to cast a spell at that target block, but not at anything else. Unless I have like messed up the order of operations, so I can't do that. Are the held and the like the check and the released functions like mutually exclusive? They are. All right. Anyway, when I click, but not release, I can cast a spell at that block, but not at anything else, which is definitely progress. I'm going to have to do something to allow this to work on release because I would like you to be able to click and hold the spell button on a target and then see, you know, the spell symbol or whatever it happens to be, and then actually cast the spell when you release. But to do that, I guess all of this could be calculated outside outside that check for cast. That might be the easiest way to do it. And then if you hold the cast button, then you could like do the wand waving thing and show the symbol or whatever. And then if you release the button, yeah. I think that's what I'll do. Okay. So this is good progress. I can't cast a spell on those things. I can cast a spell on this when I release. You can't see. You might be able to hear me clicking the button, but we cast the spell when we release. I have not been committing changes. I probably should commit changes. Let's, So, what things on Codecks can I check off? So I can check off, entities will have a property determining which kind of spell they can respond to. They will also have a spell response method, which triggers a state change of some sort. I can do that real quick, too. Entities which can respond will have an attach point, which determines where the spell sprite appears when the player is preparing to cast it. I'll get to that momentarily too, and auto spell. Alright, that'll get down to the player keeping track of a list of the spells that they know, and like figuring out if the target entity's spell response is in the list of spells that the player currently knows. So I guess we're getting into game state things when we talk about that. I've been recording for 37 minutes. I'm guessing that's going to be like 20 after editing. Okay, let me actually jump the gun on game state stuff a little bit. So I've got a little bit up ahead, like game state and inventory stuff, and that's where I'll really be getting into like persistent data. I am not planning on making obj_player persistent. That is probably going to be like wiped and reset when you enter the room, so I don't want to attach any persistent player data to that GameMaker instance. I'm not really going to be using GameMaker rooms in this game, but I am going to be treating all the diegetic game things as non-persistent anyway. So if I go, let me create a script and just call this like game state. Oh, I can't do that, can I? This is a singleton pattern that I rather like to create persistent game stuff. I can also I probably shouldn't make that an anonymous constructor, should I? That'll make it hard. Did I do something similar to this for audio and video? I think I did. Would like when the player goes back to the title screen and says new game, to be able to instantiate a new game state class whenever. Anyway, we can define a list of like known spells or something like that, which can contain obj spell or otherwise. Yeah, that's fine. It's only when we save and load that we need to use the enum, really. And I can say if obj spell response is, do we have an array? Array get index of game state dot known spells, and we can search for obj spell response. And we can say if this is not equal to -1, so if the spell response type is in the list of known spells. And this should work the same as before. And like if you teach the player a new spell or something like that, we can new must be used on a constructor. Yeah. All these rules. that computers have and GameMaker, code, whatever. I still cannot cast a spell on those blocks, but I should be able to cast one on that block. This test object, I should probably make it look different so that like you can see that it's like a special test object or whatever. How far away is 2,000 world space units, by the way? That's actually really far. Like that is farther than the fog line, and I can still cast on it. How far away can I get? All right, so about here. About here, this is where I can't cast on it anymore. So I really want to dial that in a little bit. That's 60 meters is farther than I thought it would be. That's about 2.5 seconds of travel time for the spell, 3.5 seconds of travel time for the spell. I can still target you from back here. That's still, like, closer. I mean, that's still farther than the fog line. That's exactly a second of travel time for the spell. Alright, about here. That's reasonable. Like, I would probably want to push the fog line a little farther back, but at least that's, like, close enough that I can still, like, target the object that I'm casting on without too much effort. Again, there are all kinds of tricks that Chamber of Secrets and the other early Potter games do to make it so that a little easier to cast spells intuitively without really having to aim or anything like that. But we'll put it at that for now. Anyway, that's going to be auto spell. Basic game state data. And also I can say check if the spell response is in the known spell list. I think that's all I really wanted to do for today. I can check off auto spell, move that to the done pile. Oh. I also did that. That's not what I said O2, but entities which have a spell response. And this is going to be one of those more abstract things. 3D object, we can give you a method. Which fires when you get hit by a spell. First, we'll check if the type of the incoming spell is valid. So if we are allowed to respond to that spell type, and if we're not, we're just going to return. And then the different objects will have different implementations. Like chest will do one thing, pushable blocks will do another, enemies will do a third. And when a spell hits something, so if the raycast hits something, we can say raycast result dot shape dot object dot reference dot that's the GameMaker instance. I should probably give it a better name. On spell hit. So for now, we'll just print out a message. Later on, probably in the next video, we will actually do something when we get hit. So, no casting on that. Cast on that. Oh no, I'm hit. Alright, that's great. Spell responses work. And that is going to be the basis of pretty much all spell responses in the game. Isn't that fun? Okay. I actually feel like I got a fair amount of stuff done today. I like that. So next time, I can work on spell visuals. I can work on, like, some of the other aspects, like drawing the spell symbol over objects when you're waving your wand or that kind of thing. But I didn't actually do this. I should probably uncomplete that. Hang on, can I uncomplete that? Wait. Help. Can I move that out of the done pile? How do I unmark something as finished? Alright, I could not find a way to unmark a card as done. I don't know if there's a way to do it, and it's just not obvious to me, but, alright, I'm gonna have to... I guess I could delete it and recreate it, but I don't want to do that. I guess I'll just have to remember to do that with my brain. Anyway, I could either do, spell visuals next time, or I could get going with different spell types. I think I want to do the former, I mean latter, because I want to work on that. So let's say, let's move a push spell to the hand. We can also have pushable blocks. Maybe pushable boulders too, although I think that might be a little bit optimistic. I'll just probably better off focusing on the one. And then after that, I might move on to unlock spells and do that. Should be pretty similar once I've laid out all the groundwork and all that. Or I might backtrack a little bit and then work on spell visuals. We'll see. But my name is Michael. I like Wizards and Dragons and making games. If you want the code for this, look for the GitHub repository down in the video description. Look for the 0.22 release for the stuff that I did today. I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week. Usually one tutorial and one of these. Lately I've been trying to do a little bit of catch up with the game dev videos, so I might be doing 2 of these for a little while. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute to the channel, links to that can be found in all the usual places. Otherwise, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Army Armbuster, DJ Gibbles, Edward Holt, GameMaker, Gamer Player, John Luigi Celentano, Manta Ray, Syndra Larson, Squarecrow, Vitro V, and Zengiment for supporting these videos. If you want to contribute to the channel, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.